chance that there might be a Trump undervote, people not telling pollsters because they feel like they might be judged negatively for supporting Donald Trump, but in the privacy of the polling place, that they will vote for him. Do you buy it?
No, I think it's an absurd theory. If there is, it seems to be like there would also be a hidden Hillary Clinton vote. I mean, I don't think we've seen any evidence that people. Think about Donald Trump's rallies. I mean, 10, 20,000 people, those folks don't seem shy at all. I mean, they're people who love Donald Trump. So this idea that someone would get on the phone and would be ashamed of admitting that they like Donald, it just seems absurd.
It doesn't have a witness in appearance centered around people who support Donald Trump. So it doesn't really make sense that...
Well, Mary Campbell, what about the people in the suburbs of Philadelphia or Northern Virginia who might be Trump supporters but don't want to be judged?
I think there can be marginal differences about that. I think anytime polling is within 3 points in a lot of these states, it can be off. And it doesn't have to be because of some giant hidden vote. The other question is, if there is a hidden white working class vote, there may also be a hidden Hispanic vote that's hard to poll. I think that's something that pollsters have not completely figured out yet, so they may balance each other out. But I think in any of these places where it's this close, it can go a different way without some giant underlying story. It's just because the polling was close and we don't know the composition, which we will know more about in just a little bit.
In just a few minutes, but until we do, we have to talk about it. Kristen, do you think that there might be a hidden, in the same way that there might be an undervote, a hidden Trump undervote, that there might be a hidden Clinton undervote? In other words, maybe some of these blue-collar women who don't want to advertise that they don't like Donald Trump because they're around a lot of Trump supporters might feel compelled, or maybe some of these blue-blooded Republican women who don't really want to feel comfortable.
I'm not a big believer in the hidden vote, so I don't think that's going to be a major factor, but it is true there's a lot of division. Even if you look at Catholic vote, the white Catholic vote, which Romney won overwhelmingly, and Trump will probably win with a smaller margin. Part of that reason is because white Catholic women and white Catholic men are probably going to split in how they vote.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, more coverage of Election Day. Thank you so much.
Before it became a medicine, it was an idea, a wild what if. So scientists went to work. They examined 87 different protein structures and worked for 12 long years. There were thousands of patient volunteers and the hope of millions. And so after it became a medicine, someone who couldn't be cured could be. Me.
I'm living proof of a dream come true. Take it back to the days, the early days. I start from the garage. I work 24 hours around the clock, passing out my own fly, throwing my own parties. I could have been a radio DJ, or I could be the biggest DJ. Nothing's impossible. That's the key. Ain't no problem, up, Johnny. Let's get it. Welcome to the winning team. Mango Sharad, why not? Let's get it.
Oh, I'm not a security guard. I'm a security monitor. I only notify people if there's a robbery. There's a robbery.
Why monitor a problem if you don't fix it? That's why free credit monitoring isn't enough to protect you from identity theft. At LifeLock, we not only alert you to identity threats, if you have a problem, we'll spend up to $1 million on lawyers and experts who work to fix it. LifeLock, join starting at $9.99 a month.
Any excuse to come to Japan is a good one.
A sushi legend is taking Tony where it all started.
What's it dinner? Cheers.
Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown, Japan, Sunday at 9 on CNN.
I hate asking friends for rides, even if they don't mind. I have a car, but I can't afford car insurance. I have to work. No choice.
Need car insurance? Get covered for as little as $20 down with Good to Go Auto Insurance. That's right, as little as $20 gets you started. Then you pay as you go in easy monthly installments. Sound good? Call or go online and get a free rate quote in under a minute. There's no obligation. If you like our price, get proof of insurance on the spot. It's fast, easy, and cheap because you you buy just what you need to get legal and on the road again. Why wait? Call or visit goodtogo.com now. Get Good to Go auto insurance and get where you're going on your own.
Call 1-800-984-8484 or visit goodtogo.com for a quick rate quote now. That's 1-800-984-8484. There's no obligation. 1-800-984-8484.
The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer. Up next on CNN.
We're an hour away from the first poll closings and minutes away from the first exit polling data that we're going to share with you. Hillary Clinton is heading into Manhattan right now. She hopes that Manhattan will be where she celebrates victory. Donald Trump is doing the same. He hopes where he'll be celebrating victory, just blocks away. Let's check in now with Sarah Seidner. She's in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. I believe that's in Montgomery County. Am I right, Sarah?
It's Bucks County, and it's a very important county. If you look back to 1988, that is the last time that this county went red, and that was George Herbert Walker Bush. They helped put him into the White House. Every single election since then has gone Democratic. However, the Trump campaign hoping that this could be a county that helps to kind of push out one of those bricks in the Democratic firewall that has been Pennsylvania for so many years, 1992 and 1996, you name it, this has gone Democratic since 1988. But a very important county to watch, and that is why you are also seeing very long lines here as well where we're standing. We've been seeing this pretty much all day long. Early in the morning, lots of folks. Now after work, there's a whole long line here ready to vote. Jake.
Pennsylvania, key Commonwealth. Sarah Seidner, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us this hour. Our Election Day coverage continues now with one Mr. Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper.
Happening now, America votes, and whatever happens next, American history is being made. Will the night end with the first woman president-elect or a first-time candidate heading for the Oval Office?
Exit interviews, our first exit polling data coming in now. What the numbers could say about how the night ends, that and early signs that turnout is high.
Ballot brouhaha. Trump forces fire the first shot in what could be a long legal battle over the election, and a judge fires back.
I'm Anderson Cooper.
I'm Wolf Blitzer. It's a CNN election coverage special, and you're in the Situation Room. A very big night ahead. Our political director is crunching the exit polling numbers right now. We'll check in with him momentarily. But first, let's go to CNN's Brianna Keeler. She's covering the Clinton campaign for us. She's joining us from New York this morning. Hillary Clinton voted. We just saw her leave her home in Chappaqua, New York, outside of New York City. Brianna, what has she been doing, and where will she be tonight?
Well, she had quite the late night last night, Wolf, as you know. She, after a four-stop swing through battleground states, wasn't home, landing certainly in Westchester County until about 3:30 a.m. this morning. So she charged through the morning, voted at about 6 a.m. hour, and then she took a bit of a breather after doing some radio interviews. She's done some more radio interviews, and as you know, she is now on her way from her home in Chappaqua to Manhattan. She is going to be hunkering down at the Peninsula Hotel. She'll be looking and waiting for the results to come in, but of course many hours until then. And until then, Wolf, she is going to be working on her speech, which is pretty characteristic for Secretary Clinton to do something really up until the last minute. And we do understand that she has two versions of that speech, one for if she wins and one for if she loses. But talking to Clinton campaign sources, they're feeling pretty confident about the night, Wolf.
What else are you hearing from the Clinton campaign? I know they're feeling confident, but are they, shall we say, very, very confident? Are they nervous? How do they really sense this night could go?
I'm not picking up a lot of nerves. I will tell you that, Wolf. I think it's really for them, as they see it, more a matter of when, not if she wins. So that is going to be the question, and we don't know the answer to that question. What I can tell you is that while many people on the campaign, their work is largely done, this is the day where they wait and see what happens and what the voters decide. There's still a number of people who work for the analytics team and who work for the field team who are hunkered down in the Brooklyn headquarters, and they're waiting for information to come in. They're not just relying on necessarily the polls closing, but trying to see with the models they have generated what they think the results are going to be.
Brianna Keeler will be checking in with you throughout the night, of course. Let's check in with Chris Frakes right now. He's in Manchester, New Hampshire. Chris, what are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Hey, well, I got to tell you, we're probably on our way to a record-breaking night of turnout, at least here in this precinct. Almost 900 extra ballots have just come in here, and to give you some sense, there's about 3,100 people registered to vote in this precinct. Already, they've seen 2,500 ballots cast. They expect another 1,000 people to register today, and that is because, of course, New Hampshire, a battleground state. It's a small state. There's only about 4 electoral votes up, but it's a mighty state. You just have to ask Al Gore. If he had won New Hampshire, he would have won the presidency even after losing Florida. And that's a lesson that all the campaigns have learned from, and they're really getting out the vote here. In fact, the Clinton campaign has knocked on more than 1 million doors. They've called 2 million supporters to get out to vote today. The Donald Trump campaign, 1.8 million doors knocked, 1.7 million phone calls made, and that's because there's no early voting here in New Hampshire. Tonight is the night you have to get your supporters to the polls, and independents, Wolf, are going to be huge here. As you know, the undeclared voters are outnumber both Democrats and Republicans here, and to just give you some sense of how this went down 4 years ago, 43% of people who cast a ballot were independents. They broke for Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton hoping those independents break her way today. Donald Trump trying to reverse that trend and break that Hillary Clinton's blue wall. We'll see what happens, but I can tell you, lots of excitement here, lots of turnout. New Hampshire is going to be a very exciting place to watch, Wolf.
Certainly will be. Chris Frakes, thanks very, very much. Momentarily, by the way, we're going to be getting the first exit poll results. Our political director, David Chalian, is crunching the numbers.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Momentarily, but I want to go to Anderson right now.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. I want to bring in our to even introduce everybody, so I'm just going to get right to it.
Fucking nervous about this.
Essie, what are you expecting tonight? What are you looking for in the next hour or two?
Well, in like small ball, I'm looking at things like ground game. Our traditional things like ground game still important. We're going to be able to see whether Trump's sort of disinterest in a traditional ground game will matter, and whether Hillary's almost historic ground game will make a huge difference. Big picture?
Right, because the Trump people all along now have been saying we're in a new age of politics.
That's right.
Those thinking talking about big ground games, that's old school thing.
He might be right. He flipped a lot of things on its head, and that's why tonight, among so many other for so many other reasons, is historic. But also, this is a referendum election on a number of things. It's a referendum on Obama. Hillary Clinton sort of walked away from him in the beginning, but now she's right there, 4 more years. Is that what people want? But also on Washington. If Donald Trump, a candidate who is so unconventional, so controversial, lacking political experience, really alienating a lot of people, if he pulls this off, this will be momentous. I don't want to say more historical than the first woman president, it wouldn't be, but almost less believable.
Well, either way, this is a historic night. Either you have probably, the biggest outside candidate since...
they're still just yapping the damn head off.
Andrew Jackson, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, and unconventional, right, in terms of the way he ran and bucking political correctness and running this Twitter campaign, essentially, and rejecting ads and ground game. And then Hillary Clinton, this person who would be historic, the first woman president. You see people going to the grave sites of suffragettes and leaving their I voted stickers. So I think for a certain segment of voters, particularly older women who waited for this moment for decades and decades, it'll be really meaningful. But I do think, in terms of Donald Trump, there are 2 theories about why Romney lost. Was it because he didn't get enough white voters, or was it because he didn't have a diverse base of voters who liked him? And I think so far it looks like Trump is betting that it's about white voters, and it could be that he does better than Mitt Romney.
Dave, you worked with candidates on both sides of the aisle, presidents on both sides of the aisle. At this point, do the campaigns themselves, and they all have internal data, do they know whether or not their candidate is going to win?
Yes, they've got a very good idea. Usually the candidate will know the night before, 1 or 2 nights before, we've got it, we don't have it. You got to prepare yourself if you don't have it. Yes. And what they really do is they start thinking about governing. And they look at what comes next. And I do think tonight, one of the things you'll look for, if it's Hillary, the question is how big a victory. If it's a small victory, it's not going to help her with governing. It's going to leave a lot of recriminations among Trump voters. If it's a big victory, she'll have much more leverage going forward. For example, if Latinos really step up and deliver a place like Florida, a pivotal state, the Republicans are going to be under enormous pressure. Let's go ahead and get the immigration bill done and get this issue behind us so we can appeal to these people.
And if it's Donald Trump, I mean, how do you sort of bring together all these groups?
If it's Donald Trump, I just think we're in unknown territory. I don't know really how you go there, because I don't know how you put together a government. A lot of people I know won't go into government. I will tell you that a couple people in the foreign policy area, I think, have stayed on the sideline in case they're needed in a Trump government. But I think you're going to see the markets respond extremely negatively. There's going to be a lot of other repercussions. It's not to say you can't put it together. It's going to be he's in really uncharted territory.
Yeah, just.
Well, and he's also talked about if he wins, the type of people that he would put in office would be pretty divisive people, like a Rudy Giuliani as Attorney General or a Newt Gingrich as Secretary of State.
All right, we just got the first exit poll. Let's go to Wolf for that. Wolf.
Anderson, thanks. Certainly the first exit poll numbers will give us an indication who's actually voting, why they're voting the way they are. I want to go to CNN's David Shelley, our political director. You've been crunching the numbers. What are we learning so far? The first poll closings, in a couple hours?
That's right, well, this is interviews that we conducted across the nation with voters as they were leaving the polls, and these are preliminary numbers. These will shift throughout the night as more voters come in, but one of the things we're looking at is when did people decide? And take a look at this. Very few late deciders. 7% tell us in the last few days, another 5% say within the last week. That's 12% there. But the other 88% decided in October or before that. So swirl of headlines at the end of the campaign, just a small group of late deciders there. Another thing that we looked at, Wolf, is the qualities in the candidate that people are looking for here. This is an electorate hungry for change. Look at that. 38% of voters across the nation today say the number one quality they're looking for in the candidate is somebody who could bring about needed change.
1280
But take a look at this. You're looking for a candidate with the right experience, 22%. Good judgment, 22%. Add those together. If you're looking for the right experience or good judgment, you're about 44% there. Add those together versus the 38% change candidate. This has been a Trump stronghold. Change. This has been a Hillary Clinton stronghold. Right experience and good judgment. They're splitting. What's really interesting is that not many people were looking for an empathetic candidate, caring about me and my problems. That only 15% of the electorate said was their number one candidate quality. Well,
and explain to our viewers, David, how we're dealing with these exit poll results, because you're going to be giving us a lot more later this hour and certainly next hour as well.
Right, so we're looking at sort of the racial makeup of the country, the education levels that voters have today in the country, sort of what the electorate looks like, and we'll be comparing it to what it looked like 4 years ago and what we can glean from that. Also, these exit polls are married up with real vote returns as they come in so that our decision desk can start making projections as the night goes on and vote tallies start coming in.
I know you're crunching more numbers. We'll get back to you shortly. In the meantime, let's go back to Anderson.
Wolf, David, thanks so much. Interesting to see those exit polls. I mean, the day of Bill Clinton, kind of, I feel your pain. Apparently, they don't really care whether or not they understand you. It's more about judgment. It's about change and leadership.
Yeah.
Do you think it helps either?
It's hard to say. I mean, what 38% were for change. You imagine those are folks who would vote for Donald Trump, right? And the other ones, in terms of temperament and experience, you imagine those are voters. I mean, this is a split electorate. I mean, we can see that in all of the polls, and people seem to want different things.
Well, and empathy just clearly isn't what voters are interested in this year, because you have two candidates who hold pretty low when it comes to empathy. And so, I don't know, we might be sort of beyond the hope, change, kind of idealism, and more into a realism with what we need and the big hurdles that we have.
Corey, I mean, one of the things Donald Trump kept hitting Hillary Clinton for is what he said was a lack of judgment. That she has experience, but it's the wrong kind of experience, it's the wrong kind of judgment. When you see those exit polls, does that speak to your candidate?
Well, I think it does, but I also think if you look at, there was another story earlier today about another exit poll that said, what is the most important thing that you're looking for? It was a strong leader. That's what Donald Trump has positioned himself in this race, whether you agree or disagree. He's going to be tough on our adversaries. He's going to be tough on crime. He's going to be tough on ISIS. And the exit polling that we saw a little earlier today, that was reported by Politico and others, that said that was the number one issue that they saw in their exit polling. If that is the case, that bodes well for Donald Trump in those exit interviews.
Although Democrats will probably quibble with the definition of what's being a strong leader.
Exactly. I do think that people want a strong leader. They don't want the wrong leader. And I think for so many Americans, and especially what we're going to see is the Hillary Clinton coalition come out and elect her tonight, they definitely do not see Donald Trump as the right leader for this country. And I also think that a big number that I believe will benefit Hillary is that 88% decided what their decision was going to be before October. And that was, before the Comey letter. This was at the time after the conventions when Hillary Clinton was really running away with the polls, when people were thinking she is the one that has the temperament, the judgment to be commander-in-chief. By the way, that piece of what has come out in the polls has never changed for her.
All right, we've got to take a quick break. A lot more with our panelists ahead. We'll get reaction to the polling data from a senior Trump advisor. That and more as our CNN election coverage counts down to campaign history. We'll be right back.
Okay.